Usually back there. Oh, we're on the air.
Ready? Yep. Call the meeting to order. Roll call. Yeah. Anyways, request to have confirmation that the Kansas Open Meeting Act required notice has been properly provided.
Yes, it was.
Thank you.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Larry Pankratz.
Ann Zimmerman.
Paul Gebhardt.
Bruce Richardson.
Kevin Janashek.
Ashley Campbell.
John Miller.
Any introduction of guests?
We do have a guest today. We have Jane Anderson with Friends of the River Foundation. Based on a previous request of the board, you had asked for an update relating to the river renewal project of the Smoky Hill River. And we have some slides for you that we put in your packet, but we also have available on the screens. And this is a modified presentation that was from the study session that was given to city commissions last week. If you want the full study session slides, they are available on our website publicly. I have modified them to reduce the number of slides because there was a lot. So I reduced the number to really kind of parks related, specific to the map of the river and how it affects or how it intersects with many of our parks, but also some of the amenities that we've selected, the city selected with an engineer to go that you will see throughout the river renewal. But at this point, I'd like to invite Jane Anderson to come to the podium, and if the board's willing, let her speak a little bit. Our intent was to let you this kind of roll through the slides. We weren't going to speak to the slides exactly, but the slides are in your packet, and Brett will go through the slides and kind of roll through them as Jane is speaking. But this really is an opportunity to, ask questions as well from the board relating to the future river renewal of the Smoky Hill River.
Since I only have a few minutes, I thought, I don't know what you know or don't know. So if you want to ask questions, we could start that way, or we can run through this pretty quick and just do a little tiny overview. What would you like to do? Are there questions?
Everybody just go through the overview.
That sounds good.
You want to do the overview?
Yeah, through the overview.
Okay, we'll just roll with this. One thing I'd like to say, there's different funding. I call it different pots of dollars. The pot that started everything was the sales tax that passed in 2016. And then everyone talks about a raise grant. That's actually from the federal government transportation department. And that was a collaboration with the Friends and the city to put this grant together. And we did get funded for $22.1 million. And when you think of transportation, you think of people stuff like bridges and trails, lighting. There's a maintenance building. There's some, I think there's 4 boat drops. So it's stuff about people, not the water. And so that's what the raise grant pays for. So we can move on unless there's questions. So this is showing, let's see, this is about the different bridges. There are 7 bridges. There is a bridge out at Lakewood Park, and then Ash, Elm, and the Iron Avenue all have new bridges, and that's in the northern part. You can see the dotted parts. That's where the trail goes. If it's a straight line, that trail's already in place. And you'll see some of it's using infrastructures that's already in place, and that's kind of a see-through dot. So if you can see that, that'll help you understand where did we have funding for trails and where are we short, et cetera. So we can just move on unless there's questions.
There's also 2 pedestrian bridges.
Oh, the underpass. Thank you. There's an underpass right by Lakewood Middle School. Really, the river's a little ghost river right now, so you don't even realize you're driving over bridges. And there's a huge box bridge in North Ohio. And next to it will be a pedestrian underpass that will allow anyone to get, the trail will connect on both sides, but it's going to be a huge safety feature for the middle school, as well as, let's say there's a huge rain, it actually can run water when it has to. So that pedestrian path is right there, and there'll be one in South Ohio too, kind of by that car dealership. Yes, so go on from there. This is the back half of talking about the raise grant. You can see where you see kind of the dot that's not very thin or visible. We are using some infrastructure mainly around the T-Pack because the trail there, trails are very expensive, and because they would have had to build a lot of walls, we're going to skinny down the road there to one lane, and then half of it will be the trail. This is first phase. I think later people will want to have the trail right by the river, but this is how we're creating a trail system so that it's all interconnected. And those underpasses will connect to the trail on the other side, which links it into the levee trails. So eventually we have around 30 miles of trails in around Salina. That's a real calling card for what people want. The number one thing for both the everything that we did in surveying as well as the Parks and Rec master planning, the trails were number one overall. Your baseball, softball, blah, blah, blah. People want trails. Did I miss anything else on that? You can see that South Ohio, that's going to have an underpass also. And that'll lead the trail up to the trails. There's a limestone trail coming from Indian Rock to Ohio. That actually will become concrete. The reason we're trying to do concrete, there's a couple reasons. For maintenance, it requires almost no maintenance, as well as it creates a real accessibility for people. So there's a couple reasons. Those choices, is it the most expensive? Yes, but it's the most long-lasting with very little care.
So you have to buy property then?
There is some property that will be purchased. They have hired HDR, the company that oversees is doing all the engineering, to oversee that with some city people. And that will be, if you need a timeline, I have that. So I think about 80% is owned by the city already. So there is some private property. When we put in the Y trail, that you can see that green, they had to, those properties have been donated. The Y donated, and then there's a Kenwood rest home. There's a dentist, and there's some other businesses. So those are already done. And then the next piece of trail, there's a person in there they still have to get. And then there's some up north that we've already passed by, that there's some private property on that side too. And there's some private property where the plaza is going to go. So there are still some places that they have to work out. That all has a timeline to be ready before it goes out for construction. Is there anything else on that? I'm just trying to make it through this. I know you got other things to do. So this is, just so you know, there's been lots of groups from the community that have helped decide everything about this. This is a community project. It's not the Friends project. We've been in really good relations with the city, but the really good news is it's had people all along. We've had aesthetics committee, we had a master plan committee, then we had aesthetic committee, and then a smaller one at the very end. There's been people helping the designers all along, and this is what came out of it. There's been, we'll move on one more. Hopefully you have that one. Yeah. So what happened was, and aesthetics means what is it going to look like? So what happened, we created some districts. So Lakewood, this is a 6.8 mile riverway. So it runs through neighborhoods downtown and some parks, and then of course Lakewood Park. Lakewood Park is a district by itself because it's super natural, and you wanted it to not look like downtown. Okay, and then we had some neighborhood and city parks. You can see that's the green. And those aesthetics have its own look. And then the downtown area, which includes both Iron Avenue, Ash, and Elm Bridges, have its own look that really ties into the downtown. So they have their own things, but all of it's tied together in a certain way. It looks similar. Does that make sense? So you can see on the top right, Lakewood Park has these more natural rustic deal. Then on the left side, you see downtown. That's going to mimic some of the brickwork down there. And then the neighborhood parks. You can see there's more of this kind of stony look, and that's to pay homage to the little brick, stone look bathrooms in like Oakdale Park that were built by the WPA. So there's a nod to that time period. Does that make sense? Okay, if we want to go on, maybe I don't know what you have in here. Bridges. Okay, there are 7 bridges. So you can see really this riverway, you're going over, when we call Little Box Bridge, mostly some of these bridges had to be replaced. They weren't big enough to run a river. And that was iron, ash, and elm. They all had to be replaced. We're very fortunate with Midway and the Y. Those are just extra that we asked for. And so what that does is several things. First of all, they're going to be a cement slab bridge, which Kansas is really good at building, and that was one of the reasons that was picked, to try to keep that money in the state. As well as it opens up the riverway for people. It opens it up for boating, and that was very high on the list of what people want to get in the riverway itself. As well as this is an environmental lift because fish do not like to swim through dark tunnels. So it does several things. You can see the different style of bridges. Lakewood, oh, you went by that one. Lakewood uses limestone, and the bridges are a cement slab with that kind of look, except their materials are different. So there's that metal panel. This one will be pressed to look like big blue stem from the prairie. And so the next bridge, which one? Oh, there's some pedestrian bridges out at Lakewood also, and they're mimicking the style in Oakdale, so they go together. However, there'll be these little seating areas and kind of a welcoming arm made out of limestone. I apologize. This one is the Midway, which is over by TPAC or the Bicentennial, if that makes you know which. And you can see the stone side mimicking and giving homage to that time period of the WPA. And then you have a different style of more organic pressed metal on that bridge. And the Y bridge looks the same, but there's one little slight difference. The sides will be, that's a cement down at the bottom, and that'll be pressed cement, so it'll look like water waving. So that one has that on it. Yes.
Oh, I didn't want to interrupt
No, go
Jane, but
ahead.
we have quite a few more slides, and I don't know if it's necessary that Ms. Anderson speaks to every slide.
Okay, we can just run through.
There's an example of bridges.
And then we just run through it.
So this is
Yeah. Okay, this is an underpass, and we can just go through this then. Okay, 4th Street is going to have the Iron Street Bridge will be the most expensive there. From all our surveying, everybody wants to help the downtown. These are the community people be successful. So within that area will also be a plaza. 4th Street with the raised dollars gets the street will totally be redone. You can see what it will look like. It'll look really different. There'll be no curbs, and this opens it up to be a mixed-use space, which means you could have big events there with the plaza. They put a future project, but that actually is a fundraising project for the Friends. So we can just slip through there. This is showing kind of, there'll be bollards that you can take out or put in to block traffic. So that's the car museum and the little ancient gas station to the side. So you can see kind of where it's at. There are 4 kayak launches, boat launches, and one's at Lakewood, and then you have one at Riverside Park. It's a little kind of forgotten park. It's not going to be super important. There'll be one in Oakdale Park. We're getting a maintenance building from the race grant, but with that up to the side will be a little canoe launch. And so you can see this is kind of what they look like, where you can slide your canoe in and have an easy deal. There'll be another canoe launch at the YMCA also, which will be and we're hoping the Y will rent boats. That's been a conversation for years, so we're hoping they'll take that on. And I think they're still thinking about it. So this is the style of lighting that will be throughout to make it look like it goes together. You can see some's uplit. Some of that fancy lighting will be in the plaza. And then on the right is what will be on the streets and the trails. So that's what that is. It all look together. And then the furnishings are really interesting because remember we talked about neighborhoods. So even the benches will have pressed, the metal will look like the neighborhood it sits in. Like in Lakewood, they'll have the grass. Downtown will have its own Art Deco look, and then you'll have the neighborhood thing. That's just showing some covered coverings that would happen on the plaza. Okay. We did get a multi-EV charging station with the RAISE grant, so that'll be out by the TPAC area where there'll be a place to charge your car, bus stop, place to fix your bike, that kind of thing. And that's what it could look like. So it's a place, it'd be a trail stop, there could be signage. We have signage even created and designed so that it all look like it belongs together, the riverway. I know I'm going through fast, but I've already taken up my time. Trails are, as I was talking before, some are already in place, others will be using infrastructure in place, and some of it will be new trails. And you'll be able to tell with the kind of dots that are on your map. Does that make sense? That's showing Lakewood, it goes clear out to the levee system, and then you can see it's using the trail already by the Lakewood Middle School, and the trail's coming down on the street at this point, unless we find a donor, kind of stepping around the plaza area, which is not the best solution, but we're hoping to find a donor to help correct some of that. We can go to the next one. And then you can see connection in with Indian Rock Park. It goes around all of that, and Oakdale Park also. And some of that is using the infrastructure in place unless we find a donor. Again, that's part of what we're looking into ourselves on what people's interests are. We've pledged to raise $4.2 million to go along with this. There's still obviously shortages of what needs to be done to make it the best it can be. Yeah, we can go on. Unless there's questions, is that it?
That's all we got.
Are there questions on what's happening? The timeline is really what a lot of people have been really worried about, and I understand it has taken too long, and we think that too, but we're really glad that we've waited because the taxes are really not enough for us to do the project that people are expecting. So with the RAISE grant, we've been in relationship with the Corps of Engineers. Once you start down that trail with the federal government, you have to have patience. But our patience is paying off. The RAISE grant is paying out. I know there's been some worry about that, but it's been paying out. They're already in final designs for all that beautiful things we're talking about. The Corps of Engineers, they go through their processes, and if you don't like that, then you just need to go do something else. But we're at the end of their processes, and there'll be another year of their designing. And what the Corps does is water. So you have federal dollars in two different places. You have federal in transportation stuff for people, and then the Corps is all about the water itself. And so what they bring to the project is really special. They would do all the dredging. Well, they oversee it. They hire locals as much as possible too.
And so with the dredging, I understand all this soil will go into Lakewood?
Just in part of it, it goes in the hole of where the lake used to be, and it's going to create a hillside out there. And the cool part about this, Lakewood, years ago used to be connected to the riverway. Because the river is no more, there's no connecting it. But the place to connect it is still there, and one of those bridges is going over that connection. They're going to reconnect it to Lakewood Lake. It's going to be bigger. It'll be about 8 feet deeper. It'll make it a way better, bigger fishing little lake. And with that hillside comes the opportunity for a new trail system and actually credible views. So the silt has to go somewhere, and I think that was a really great solution on that park. So we're not trying to ruin the park. We're trying to make it better. And the interesting part of the connectors between the lake and the river, they'll have a water marsh, which actually cleans the water and has a great uplift to the environment and fish. So there'll be almost like little canoe trails going through this real low water in there. So you'll be able to go from Lakewood into the river and river into Lakewood. I really think this thing will be a big tourist draw for a place that allows people to throw their kids into a boat in a river that's actually quite safe. I think it will be a huge draw. Most of Kansas land and waterways are privately owned. So I think we're in a real niche market to bring people from the outside into our community for fun and for a safe place to be. Because honestly, when you go to the big river at Lawrence, the Kansas River, that's not necessarily where I put a kid in to try out canoeing. So this riverway, I think, offers a huge opportunities for Salina to be unique in our community and to be accessible. So we feel like with the trails and the riverway being accessible to people, it's going to be a very exciting place. And the Corps also, by what they do in dredging, they dig deep pools and shallows. It's not a ditch. A riverway is not just a ditch. And so they bring because they have, with the money, they can dig it appropriately. So what that does is create a living environment again. And so ultimately it will be a fishing river again. And to me, that's a real wonderful thing for this community to have a living river run through the community.
So when will it be done?
So what happens is the raise grant goes first. It'll be bid out at the end of 26. And then it will go in construction in 27. And what you'll see first are bridges, because they want to build all of that in dry. It'll be way less expensive. So this is working out quite well, really, even though we didn't really plan on it going this way. So bridges and all that will go in first. And then the core, they'll be ready to go in construction, I think is 28. So the 26 to 30 is the timeline for the raised dollars. Does that make sense? And then the core 28 to 30. So 30, sometime in late 30 or July, that's Martha Tasker's goal. And you'll have a living riverway running again with all the amenities that we just talked about. So 2030 sometime in there. It has to be finished by 2031. I can't remember the exact month. Or you lose your dollars from the raise grant. There's a timeline on it. So that's why there's a push. There's no time for us to make a lot of changes now. It's all about getting it done. That's where we're at, which is wonderful because for a long time it was not that way. Does that answer that question?
Thank you.
Okay. Is that any other questions?
I don't know.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate having me here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Just to follow up on a few things, or not follow up, it's add. As I started off, this was a portion of the slides that were presented to the City Commission on a week ago Monday, but also there was a public session at Tony's Pizza Event Center that also went through those slides with that engineering firm. Of those slides that I did not include today are a lot of the financial analysis and financial information about the funding from the RAISE grant. And also some of that property acquisition information about the engineering task that they have to try to acquire some of that property to have this river have the river as designed. You will see some future meetings, and I don't have a timeline for it, but there is a potential for some naming opportunities along the river as it comes closer to fruition. And as you are aware, and maybe some of you have gone through this with me or through staff, to go through a naming guideline. There's a naming guideline, and part of that naming process is a public meeting for the advisory board to consider the naming request of a certain amenity or a building or a structure or property. And so you'll be seeing some of those come online probably this year, maybe definitely into next year. So just keeping you ready for what's coming.
You mean naming it after us on the advisory board?
There you go.
Yeah. This bridge.
I'm sure Jane would love to have your money.
Yeah, as long as I give you the money, right? Yeah.
But I'll be first in that line before the board. No, I'm kidding.
What's your name again?
If I had such, I might consider it. But and I want to again thank you to
Thanks,
Ms.
Jan.
Anderson
Thanks, Jan.
for speaking to the board.
Well,
And again, if
one
there's-
question I have is, I had never heard of the hill at Lakewood, so we're going to have a hill there.
On the, I believe, and Jane can correct me, but on the south end of
the trails
Lakewood,
are, yeah.
Lakewood Park, they'll be using the spoils from the river to fill that area in.
So it'll be
and create
aromatic
those
for a
marshy
couple
areas.
years?
I'm sorry?
That'll be aromatic for a couple of years.
I don't know.
Have you ever smelled soil from the river?
Yes.
Yep. How big a hill? When you say hill? I mean, oh, well, you don't, that's all right.
I mean, we can find out.
Yeah, I'm just kind of curious.
Come into the short grass there, where you have your golf area. It's not.
Yeah.
it's
I've been
just-
hanging out there a long time. I was just kind of curious. Maybe we can add some more disc golf baskets. So,
So will it be on the trail system then? It'll be on the trail system of down by the lake then? Or
kind of eliminates trail
yeah,
system.
I was going to say, that's like the greatest part of town.
You're going to have a new trail system. It's going to fill in where some of those trails are, and the water's going to come up on some of the other
Sure.
around it. So the lake will look like a a tooth with its roots coming down. That's what it looks like. I'll have two like channels from the drawings and the hills in there next to the water running. So your trails and those trees are gone. It's going to be a whole new look.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's going to change it.
That's like my favorite place in the world.
I'm sorry, we're trying not to
Yeah.
ruin it. We've heard that from a lot of people, and it's
Adding
not
6
trying to
feet-
ruin it.
Adding
It will-
6 miles of trail, though.
Yeah.
As you can see from the map,
You know,
there are some
you know,
additional new trails that are being.
I think it will be better in the end because think about it, we're Midwesterners. I grew up where my granny had a hill, and that was a big deal in her pasture. So we don't have a lot of hills. So I think it will end up being a special place because you'll be able to see the lake. I think you'll have some great views and not be down so low. And I think, we'll be planting and, those kind of things. That isn't designed yet. So
Okay.
all that's in the future. So.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll try not, we understand that Lakewood is a special place.
Yeah,
That's not the
definitely.
intention to ruin it. We're trying to make it better, actually. The lake will most certainly be better, for sure.
Okay.
It's going to
Yeah.
fill in some of the areas that are trails with water. So,
Okay.
Okay, we don't have a citizen forum, do we? Okay.
I move we approve the agenda.
Well, I think, did you come in on time last year week? Because I don't think I took over the meeting. It says I ran the meeting.
I
That's
came
the
in on
minutes,
time,
though.
barely, like today.
Yeah, but you were here on time and she started the meeting, so actually that's wrong. It needs to be up
That's,
corrected.
that's the
well.
minutes.
That's
I'm
the
approving,
minutes, not the
moving to
agenda.
approve
Oh,
the
Jen,
agenda.
I'm sorry. I was ahead of myself. I second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All against it,
You're
same
right.
sign?
Sorry.
Okay.
Me too, better sheet.
How about approval of minutes?
There you go.
There you go.
With that change, yes. That Bruce is in charge.
Second, I think that was a motion, so
Yes, that was
I'll
a
second it.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All against, same sign. Activity reports, please.
Thank you. As I normally do, I'm going to highlight some items that occurred for the month of April, and if there's anything in the activity reports that I don't talk about or have questions about, please let me know. As you can see, there's a lot of items in here about opening shelters and opening bathrooms, opening water-related things such as drinking fountains, irrigation systems. You'll see a lot of those things. Kansas Wesleyan track and field events, which, to my knowledge, the first time they actually had a field event for Kansas Wesleyan at Sunset Park. They might have had they've said they definitely have practices in the past, but I don't recall a time when they actually hosted invitationals or a match there. But that was in April. They also had another match in May, which you'll see maybe in next month's report for May. Disc golf tournament at Indian Rock Park. As you can see through landscaping, a lot of irrigation repairs, raising heads, applying seed on many different things. Very busy with landscaping to get spring planting season in. If you haven't noticed, we are responsible for landscaping in plazas in the downtown. 2 plazas in the downtown received landscaping improvements. One was Spillman Plaza and the other is Strand Plaza. Is that right? Yeah, Strand and Spillman. The Strand Plaza is the plaza that kind of expands into the back where Barolo Grill is. For a long time, Barolo Grill was responsible. They had taken the responsibility of landscaping that area. However, they they're no longer doing that, so it came back to landscaping staff, and we through a contractor revitalized that landscaping in Strand Plaza. And if you haven't seen it, I think it looks outstanding. It's really nice. It really makes it quite inviting if you wanted to go back there and have lunch and go to Prairie Land Market to grab a bite to eat, go back there and eat. It's got a little bit of shade, but I'm sure certain times of the day it'd be relatively hot back there. But it looks really nice. And the spill,
Do you schedule plazas also, like the stage over there by Jose Peppers? Are you responsible for that plaza also?
yes.
And like scheduling, like when people have bands and things?
It's really through Salina Downtown,
Okay.
more so than me, but I have a part in that as far as the calendaring goes of those events. And then through a special event permit process through the city, I do have a opportunity to review some of those special event requests.
Is that the way stage will be up on Elm and Santa Fe also?
That's the same way that operates. It just that's also doubles at a parking lot. So it's a little
Yeah.
interesting
Weird.
space, but the same kind of procedure applies. Salina Downtown is kind of the operational arm. I have a hand in the calendaring of those, and they're making reservations and also the reviewing of special events. And then if there's landscaping in those areas, Dennis's staff is responsible for those. If we have some electrical concerns or lighting concerns, our facility maintenance staff have some hand in that. So,
That looks nice. Looks good down there.
yeah, I believe so too. It's really nice. Those plazas are an interesting thing. It's just kind of a quasi-departmental, especially the one on the corner of Santa Fe and Ash, where the stage is at. It's not just me. It's not just Dennis. It's not just Brett. It's not just Travis. It's Public Works, Planning and Development. It's Arts and Humanities. So we all have a hand, and we all have parts to play when it comes to operating those spaces and maintaining those spaces. Moving on, Kenwood Cove is opening next Tuesday. The weather does not appear to be cooperating for our opening day. We do have a policy, and I want to make sure that's publicly known and it's available on our website, that we need to get to certain temperatures, air temperatures, for the pool to open. I believe it's 72 degrees and sunny. I might be misquoting this. Or 75 degrees and cloudy. I think those are the minimums that we need to reach. And then also we have concerns about water temperature. If the water temperature is below 70 degrees, that could also impact our ability to open. But we do hold to that policy relatively rigidly.
So what's the Zoom plume?
The Zoom flume
Is closed. I didn't know what the Zoom flume is.
The Zoom flume is the feature that's in the middle of the park.
Oh, that thing, yeah.
Behind the wave pool and before the kiddie pool. It is a structure that is a concrete bowl, if you will, covered in with a vinyl liner. The vinyl liner has failed almost every year it's been in operation.
Yep.
The vinyl liner tends to fail, and then water gets underneath that vinyl liner, and then gets traps people in the ride. Secondly, last August, we had a water pipe break relating to that ride, and it's hard to get to, and we're working on ways to repair that.
Okay, I just saw it in the news. So
Yeah,
it's been a problem ever since it's opened, pretty much. So,
it has.
Yep. I just didn't know what it was named.
Yep. That's the proper name, is the Zoom flume. There's also, we call it Raging River. We call it all kinds of things, but we call it. I think I commonly call it to it as the river slide. But moving on, forestry accomplishments. We celebrated Arbor Day, planted a tree at Jerry Ivy. Travis is going to talk about a few things. Go ahead, Trav.
As you can tell with the packet, we got a lot going on as far as recreation in April. First, I want to touch base on some of the therapeutic recreation accomplishments. Sarah is sitting in the crowd. We've made a lot of accomplishments there in that avenue, and just wanted to touch on a few. The Night to Shine, if you're not familiar, that event was scheduled at Kansas Westland, I think, in February, and we did move that to the Tony's Pizza Event Center in April. So a lot of karaoke, photo booth. They like their food. They like to dance, so it's pretty
a fun
cool.
time. Yeah.
along with the other activities there. I think Sarah does an outstanding job with that. Of course, we have our senior program with trips. Those requests are getting more and more. And then we have special events. We have our Easter egg hunt up Berkeley Family Recreational Area, estimating around 650 to 700 kiddos for that event. So that's a good one. Salina Fieldhouse, and then outdoors. As far as spring programming, we're right in the mix of that when it comes to, we have a strong adult volleyball program, as you know. Gwen, she created a women's 3-on-3 basketball program. That was pretty cool. So that was the first time we tried that, and we had 6 teams. That was good. As far as outdoors, our baseball, softball practices and games are up in full swing. As you know, we do host a lot of high school and college events on our facilities as well. Amy runs youth soccer for us now, and she had 39 league teams and very, very busy. Just so the public is aware that we're trying to utilize our other facilities as well, as far as like Oxbow and Bill Burke. We have a lot of open grass there, and we're trying to schedule practices there to minimize the wear and tear at the complex. And you could, if you go out there, it's working. It is working. It's spreading it out. It's providing other facilities for them to have practice, but we're still playing games, at the complex. So that's the purpose behind that. We do have a new toy to our disposal. His name is Dave. We named him after Dave Atterkirk, who was our recreation supervisor prior to Amy. We were working on that for 2 years. I finally did call him. I said, Dave, we finally got Dave in. It's a robot painter. And if you drive by and you see some crystal cut lines, that's because of Dave. We can't drive like that, okay? We can't steer like that. But it's been a time saver for us, and especially when we're painting numerous size and multiple quantity fields. As far as practices and games, it's been a good asset to the city. So, moving back to the field house, is not so much a weekend event in April, but we did have one, and it was a big one. We had a wrestling tournament in there as far as a Greco-Roman and freestyle. I don't know if you guys know too much about wrestling, but I did want to try it, and it worked. And so they already booked for next year more space, and so that's a good sign. Outdoors, we had 4 tournaments in April, and totaling 130 teams. That's a good month. So a lot of action out at Bill Burke mainly, and then up at Berkeley Family Recreational Area. We are receiving a lot of positive reviews of Bill Burke, how it's functioning, how it's looking. So kudos to the city of Salina and everybody who had a hand in that. So it's working. Last thing, if you haven't been, please do so. We had our second annual Miracle Game, and that is a very special event down there at Bill Burke. It's growing every year, and we're partnering with the Yard on that, and it's just an outstanding event. And so just another example of how Parks and Recreation is kind of co-sponsoring or sponsoring events with other people in the community to do something that is great for our community. Is there any?
That was a great game, great organization, great the whole thing.
Yeah.
It was pretty amazing to see the kids interact and just all the support for that. It was pretty exciting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Any questions? Okay.
A few remaining items I have. Golf course, under rounds, there's an item the golf course provided with an attached report relating to rounds played for our region, and lots of data on those graphics, about 3 pages of graphics for your review. Irrigation wells, if you're not aware, we use the pond. It's an irrigation pond that's along Crawford in front of the golf course as our irrigation pond. We don't rely on Mother Nature to fill that pond. We use wells to fill that pond. those wells we have 4 wells, and we've had some ongoing repair issues with those. And there's an item under maintenance projects about rehabbing those wells. We've done 2 this spring, and we're almost done. We got a few electrical things to resolve. And then next year we'll get after the other one to do more maintenance on that well. Facilities maintenance, bathrooms, the Oakdale North and South bathrooms, which are the stone bathrooms, and they were older style. Those are now open after being remodeled and refurbished and refreshed. The pickleball bathroom, I believe, will open up next week, which was the former tennis bathroom. And we pushed pretty hard with our staff to get those open by the end of this month so they can be available with all the refreshments and refurbishments indoor or the inside and exterior for River Festival, which is coming up shortly in Oakdale Park.
They're looking really nice.
I think they're great. Yeah,
I actually think my family members would use them now.
Yeah, and then we started with Kenwood bathroom, which was that older WPA style stone bathroom, and then now we got some momentum on that style of bathroom, and we have 3 more in Sunset Park that we'll also have to treat the same, but Sunset Park is not scheduled until next year, I believe, so we'll get to that. After they finish up in Oakdale at this end of the month, Lakewood Park will be next. The south bathroom at Lakewood Park. And that's all I had as far as updates from the activity reports, unless, I do have one thing. It's not on the activity report, but this Thursday will be our first ever outdoor movie.
Oh, right.
And we're holding that at Dean Evans Stadium, Thursday evening about dusk, about 8:30. And
What's the movie?
I'm sorry, it's an outdoor. Oh, what's the movie? The movie is
The Sandlot.
The Sandlot. Thank you.
Okay.
And kind of a baseball themed movie, so it's appropriate that it's on Dean Evans Stadium. And bring a blanket. I'm coming with my kids, I hope. And
Showtime?
Dusk is what it
yeah.
says.
And
As
then
in
there'll be
tomorrow,
some
Thursday.
Thursday.
Yes.
Tomorrow. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Don't
Well,
miss
make sure I got the right date. There's no date given, so.
I didn't put it in writing, so I might have missed something. Anyways, if there's any questions about anything else on the activity reports, please ask. Otherwise, that's all I got to highlight from the activity reports.
I don't have any questions on that.
I do want to say that the food trucks have been very successful with the tournaments. I've heard positive feedback from multiple adults, multiple team organizations about the food trucks.
Okay.
with that.
Up on the hill or Bill Burke or both?
At Bill Burke.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good deal.
So I can tell them about next year. We're putting that in.
Yeah. Okay. I would.
Yes. So, as you know, Optimus, gave us the bad news of operating concessions indoors there. So we were kind of forced to utilize some food trucks and think outside the box there. We got some direction to send out more of an RFP for that moving forward for 2026. So for this year, we probably won't see an organization or anybody inside that concession stand, but we're trying to utilize food trucks to supplement. So.
It's been nice to have other options other than hot dogs, hamburgers, food. So.
Anybody else have any questions? I've got one. I take it that what sidewalk isn't going to be done in Oakdale Park?
All of the concrete improvements act as a work in progress. There are about $280,000 worth of concrete projects that we're trying to accomplish. It's actually more than that, but the first phase is about $270,000 of concrete improvements. That sidewalk that you're referring to that would bisect the southern half of the Oakdale Park is part of that. It would not happen before River Festival. We are still in a draft preliminary design and engineering of that project. We anticipated going out to bid sometime in June or early July, and then we would have a contractor selected this fall, and it would probably start, maybe start in this year and start at into next year.
Okay. I've got one other question. For the board members, should we all get a pass to the River Festival?
You should buy one, yeah, sure. I encourage everybody to buy one.
That's a different organization.
I just had to throw that in. Any other questions? Anything?
Nope.
All in favor of having a, what does it want? Help me out, Larry.
To get free.
A motion what?
I think he's trying
Motion
get
to
us free
adjourn?
wristbands.
Oh, no,
we're not
we
even
have all
closed.
new business.
We got new business.
We have new business, old
New
business.
and old business.
Yeah.
I'm missing somewhere. Oh, okay, thank you. Can't we miss that?
Can't.
We got more paper to go through here.
Okay. No new business then?
I did not have any new business for the board.
Okay. And the old business, got that taken care of?
Yeah, there's one item of paper remaining in your packet based on some information I received from the fitness campaign, National Fitness Campaign. They provided a report from 3 different cities that they selected as comparable cities to Salina. They're all in Texas. And instead of providing you all the pages upon pages of the reports, I went through the reports and summarized the data based on the questions that you had and how long they were open for, their population size, and then the total use over that number of years. That's the information they provided. And then I estimated an average per year just by doing some math to show the number of uses per year from the data that the National Fitness Campaign provided me. These were all communities within the, if I recall, looking at the map, some of these are in the Dallas area. And Anna, Texas looked like it was more of a rural location. It was north of Texas. I'm not familiar with these communities. I've never lived in Texas, so I've heard of Grapevine, Texas. But anyways, and this is that's the information they provided based on my request of providing of your request, really, the board's request of getting more information about long-term use.
So they have like one location, each one of these communities, and this is a usage, like over there on the right-hand side, per year?
Correct. It's the average that I came up based on the number of years and the total use that they recorded from the app data for using those fitness courts in those 3 locations. They have several of these communities have added more than one, but this was the initial fitness court they had in those communities. I believe she said the representative from National Fitness Campaign stated that there were Grapevine, Texas, were looking at putting another one, and so
Thanks.
thank you.
Okay, project status updates.
Sure thing. Matson Field has been seeded, and we'll be working through this year and next year and then we'll be letting that grass grow. We'll be going through that again in the fall with our landscaping crew to reseed that and start shaping up a field to prepare for next April to play ball on Matson Field. We are preparing this fall to also do, it's really a project after Lakewood Park, bathrooms are done, to start looking at remodeling or refreshing the dugouts at Berkeley Families fields 1 through 4, and then also Matson Field dugouts, which are not in great shape. Bill Burke concrete work, I probably left that on here, which I thought talked about it last month. That's been completed. We are looking at some additional work just for sidewalks. There's about 5 or 6 locations of sidewalk that are kind of broken up that we need to repair. The dog park at Parker Park is moving forward. We have fencing up. We have mow strips. We have the water line for the dog bowls is in. We're waiting for a couple more, I would say maybe 8 more weeks, 6 more weeks for some of the other items to come in, which is the pavilions and the dog bowls and the solar lights. We anticipate finishing that up in August. As I previously reported about restroom remodels, we'll be finishing up in Oakdale at this end of this month, moving on to Lakewood Park for the south bathroom at Lakewood. Jerry Ivy Memorial Park improvements, we are reviewing drawings from a reorganized bid. We anticipate in June getting that out to bid and leaving it out to bid for about 4 weeks to allow for contractors to consider that, and then have a bid opening in July or late June or early July. I think we're trying to shoot before the holiday, before 4th of July. And hopefully in July have a commission action item before the city commission relating to awarding a bid to a contractor for a splash pad at Jerry Ivy Park.
In Jerry Ivy Park also, there's approved a sand volleyball pit.
Yes, we have awarded a bid for sand volleyball for replacing the sand volleyball that was already there, that was previously there. That kind of got swallowed up by the new tennis courts. Between Travis and I, we kind of committed to replacing those. They're very popular for the sand volleyball community, which there's a 50, 70 strong people in this community. We have a sand volleyball court at Centennial Park, but it's only 1 court. We are putting 2 courts in at the south section of Jerry Ivy Park, near the tennis courts, and we're trying to do a little better than the courts that were there. It'll be a larger footprint of courts, so it'll give more overrun outside the court lines. Concrete curb, a padded curb. It'll be a padded curb. So I think it'll be a nice, we're working with the contractor right now to get them under contract for city to do construction work for the city. And once we get that done, we'll have, I can report more about a timeline as to when they're going to start and hopefully finish.
Now, the tennis courts and the basketball court, that's the school district's responsibility?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and they were the ones that put those in?
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. Yes. There's 4 courts there, tennis courts, 4 dedicated only for school use, but the other 4 are for public use. And the basketball court is for public use as well.
Are the sand volleyball courts going to be fenced?
There will be a ball stop fence on the south and north ends.
Okay, but not
It'll be
completely
not
enclosed.
a perimeter fence, no. But there will be a 6-foot fence on the south end and north end to keep the ball from,
Flying
going into
away.
the road. And Pestinger Family Stadium, Dean Evans, we're really wrapping up our end. Grass is growing, sod's established outside the outfield fence. And again, we'll probably go in and reseed in the fall and start mowing that when it's allowed to do so. But as far as the city components, we are pretty much done. We got some parking things to look at, for how we need to do some improvements. We've restriped parking, but it's creating a little bit of miscommunication with people who drive, which is, humans want to do. So we need some. We're looking at some lighting options, some additional lighting to light the parking lot better. We're also looking at. I can't remember what it was. Oh, we got a flagpole to put in that would serve both Dean Evans and Pestinger.
Good.
And then Salina Baseball Enterprises is still moving forward with their fundraising for the additional parts of the project that would not be city funded, which would be a grandstand and an elevated seating platform
For passenger.
for Pestinger. Yeah.
I've watched games at both places. It's really nice. It's really a great fields. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. And again, if there's any projects, and thank you for pointing out, I did not include sand volleyball on my list, but I will be adding it from this point onward so I can give updates to the board relating to that project. Thank you so much. But if there's other things I did not talk about relating to projects, please ask.
That it?
That's all I got, unless you have questions for me.
Do we have any general announcements now?
I have a question. What's this golf data stuff?
Yeah. What is that?
I talked about it briefly. Under the golf course activity reports, golf staff wanted to indicate to the board that year-to-date rounds for our region were down 15% over the same time last year.
Oh, no,
See
it's-
attached report.
Oh. It's on
And those
here?
are 3 pages of golf data that was provided by the golf course manager to kind of give context to
Oh, I see.
golf play in our region. There's a lot of data there.
Oh, it's went over my head. Thanks.
Thank you.
We had, 3 whole rounds in January for the whole entire
I
month?
think it was
So
8 rounds total.
That was,
Yeah.
that was a special occasion.
Okay, all in favor of adjournment? If nothing else?
I move.
She moved to adjourn. I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.